Okay, we are live.
Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is another edition of Hey Hey Sports. It is quarter. Actually, it's 10:52 Central Time, and you noticed that we kind of repositioned ourselves. We usually have the big W in the back. We kind of repositioned ourselves in the man cave because today was a not so.
It was a disappointment on both fronts.
Yeah, the Cubs got beat. We don't have a score yet on the San Diego game. Maybe we can get one before the end of the Padres, before the end of this broadcast, because the Cubs lead over the Padres between the fourth or fifth spot, and wild card might go down to a game, but we're not here basically for that. We're having a wrap-up show of the Chicago Bears in their opener against the Minnesota Vikings, where if you watched it, okay, and this is what's our date today?
Today's date is 9/8/2025.
9/8/2025. Yeah, and it was a Monday night game, and everything started. It was all sugar plums and candy canes
Started out good.
In the first.
Started out real good.
The first series. Okay, first of all, we have to just put this in a nutshell. The Bears offensively scored on their first and last drives of the game and scored 24 points. Fortunately, they had a pick six involved in that.
From their defense.
Okay, from the defense. They had 3 field goals from Carlos Santos.
Granted, he missed one.
He missed one, but it was blocked. I think it was nipped, and that's why it didn't go in. But the problems still exist within the Chicago Bears.
From the previous coaching staff and the new one.
And yesterday, we put a great broadcast, and we had several viewers.
And we thank you. We thank the many for this.
Thank the viewers.
Sincerely.
And I certainly hope the viewers check into this one. And during that time, my co-host was cautiously optimistic. I was playing the role of reality that the alleged problems that the Bears had were going to be fixed. And we're going to debunk some of that because throughout the course of the game, we jotted some things down. And some statistics. Again, statistics are for losers, but raw numbers still do exist, okay? The Bears, early on, J.J. McCarthy looked real bad. Okay, and the Bears' defense with Dennis Allen looked very, very good. And at halftime, the score was, I didn't write that one down.
I don't necessarily remember.
The Bears were up.
It was, I think, 10-6.
10-6.
10-3 or 10-6.
And
it wasn't by a lot.
Minnesota was nowhere near scoring, whatever it might have been. Okay, but in the first quarter. I'm going here with my stats. The Bears had a problem, as we talked about. They had 4 pre-snap penalties. Okay? 4 pre-snap penalties. In the second quarter, they had 3 more. Okay, so that gives them 7. The Bears ended up with, I want to make sure I got this right. They had 12 penalties for 127 yards.
Yep.
Now, last year, Eberflus and that coaching staff got crucified.
And even the one before that.
For, how could this happen? This is coaching. These are coaching mistakes. How are you not preparing your team for that?
And it's the funny thing of it is, in a high school game, in a college game, hell, even a CFL football game, if somebody played poorly, such as that, if somebody handled themselves, conducted themselves, mishandled themselves in a way, in a manner such as that, they would be benched almost immediately.
But again, you can't bench
almost immediately.
You can't bench these offensive linemen for that, because if you do, you're going to play the same guys who were the offensive line last year
this is why
that dumped Caleb Williams on his ass 68 times.
Why did Kansas City Chiefs give up, was it Joe Thuney?
Yeah. I don't think Joe Thuney had a problem. The guy from
the Rams,
Jackson, Jonah Jackson?
Yes.
Okay. I think he had 3. Okay. And I think Darnell Wright I don't think he had any.
I think Darnell Wright had 2.
But he had some holding penalties, and we're going to get into that. And then the remainder of those were either holding penalties, and then Caleb Williams, we're going to get there, had probably the gaff of the boneheaded play of all.
Well,
is when and you know what? He ran for his life. He only got sacked twice.
Caleb, I know. You and I have different opinions on Caleb.
It was the grounding that took him out of field goal position.
Also have to reference the defensive pass interference that gave the Minnesota Vikings.
And that was one of the penalties, the defensive pass interference.
You also got to mention that too. And that's a blatant. See, there are certain penalties I understand, whether it be momentum, he can't really stop. And, certain situations, I understand. But when it's like a blatant, when you're all over the guy,
and
stop it.
Okay, and now, and the narrative will be, well, they played well. They didn't have Jalen Jackson, and Jalen Johnson and Eddie Jackson, and then the guy
were not up to 100%.
Yeah, and it's going to be all in
Tyler Gordon did not
play. And then I think the guy who had the pick 6 had the tweak at the very end of the game.
And he was also a practice squad player, was he not?
Yeah, so they brought somebody else in, and then it's going to be, yay, moral victory, 27-24. Okay?
Okay, but this is a game that you needed to win. This is a game that you should have won. This is a game that you were winning. This is a game that you came out of the gate as if you were a Kentucky Derby Triple Crown racehorse. You had the entire thing in your hands, and you threw it away. You olayed it like you were a bullfight. Olay! We don't need it. We don't care.
Now, the people who are watching this, go ahead.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but, and before we get to our main topic points, this is how Bears lose games. They don't just, play the game and just get outright obliterated and blown out. Or it's like, they play the game and it's like the Buffalo-Baltimore game where it was like a shootout, 40, and it ended up 40-41. If they lost a game like that, okay, fine. It would suck. It would not be fun, but I would not be heartbroken in the way that I am right now.
And if you watch the game, at the another little sidebar that I noticed was another criticism. Now, I'm not defending Eberflus and that bunch last year, but it was clock management.
Yeah.
With 2 minutes left in the game, when the Bears were down 3, they only had 1 timeout left. Why did they burn those 2 earlier? Now, granted, you needed a Hail Mary and a lot of other things, but if you had 2 more timeouts and a 2-minute warning, maybe you could have bled this game out a little bit more. But once it got under 2 minutes and the Bears had 1 timeout, basically it was victory formation for the Vikings. So
also
will Ben Johnson get criticized for clock management?
Well, we will.
Well, but people hung and crucified Eberflus. So the same mistakes are being done.
He was also smiling when his team was racking up penalties too.
I had the Bears
smiling when your team's racking up 12 penalties.
I had the Bears with again, Caleb Williams only got sacked twice, but 3, 6. I had him with 8 hurries, meaning he was running for his life and he broke some tackles, which
was.
What Justin Fields did.
Well, but
and he became the Chicago Bears' leading rusher
what you mean for this game?
for this game.
Well, see here. Well, here's the thing. Caleb Williams and Justin Fields, polar opposite quarterback, completely opposite quarterback. Caleb Williams is a pocket passer who has the capability to run. We found this out today. He played really, really well. And you know what?
Who played really, really well?
Caleb Williams played well today. He did. And you know what? He was on only 8 carries.
Okay.
Wait, how many carries? You have it written down here. How many carries did Caleb Williams have?
Caleb Williams had 6 carries for 58 yards,
okay.
which was 9.7 average, but many of those were...
And DeAndre Swift had 17 carries, and he only averaged 3.7. You can't... It's football 101. You can't pass block, you can't run block, and you can't do vice versa.
Okay, but again... As you brought up Justin Fields, so I'm going to throw.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
When pass protection breaks down and people are playing man to man, if that quarterback can find a way to break the hurriness,
here's the thing.
He is running downfield and he's got a wide open field.
Caleb Williams played well overall, all things considered. However, much like his defense, they did not execute in key critical moments where they needed to.
211 yards passing is not going to win you a lot of games.
You know what? The Chicago Bears, and this is another topic I'm going to get into.
And they had Bears did have 318 total yardage.
This is another thing I'm going to talk into. The Chicago Bears, they get clowned on every ESPN talk show, every FS1 talk show, every Fox Sports radio program, every ESPN radio program, every news outlet involving NFL, every NFL magazine, because they never had a 4,000-yard passer, never had the 30-touchdown passer. You're not going to have that if you don't have the offensive line to protect for you.
Okay, but you
don't have that.
Okay, but you sit around and go, everybody is dumping on the Bears because of, but you know what? The outcome today warrants people dumping on them.
When I was screaming at the TV, did you not agree with me?
Okay.
Were you not agreeing with me on the talking points that the people who run this program, who, drum roll please, are the McCaskey clan? And you know what? You had the 40th anniversary ceremony, the opening of the great 1985 Super Bowl 20 team. And you know what? That's all well and good. But you know what? I'm reaching a point where I don't care anymore about that.
Okay, but I truly don't think 70-year-old McCaskey is looking for talent and looking...
No, because he doesn't care.
So...
They don't care.
Okay.
Why should I?
Okay.
You want me... This is the other thing that really brought...
Don't yell. You don't want to care, but you know what?
No.
You're blaming everything on the McCaskey family.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, but...
Yeah, I am, because they've ran us in the ground the last 3 decades. Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Okay, but Ryan Poles... He goes to McCaskey and says... I would like to get this guy. Do we really think...
Ryan Poles was an offensive lineman, and he wasn't any good.
Okay.
Ironically, he played for the Bears 20-something years ago. And he brings in offensive linemen who played just like him, who sucked.
Okay, George McCaskey rubber stamps everything. But George McCaskey is not looking at college.
George McCaskey wants me and you to fund his stadium because he can't be bothered to do it himself. Him and his henchmen and his lackeys cannot be bothered to do it themselves.
Okay, this is
they don't have the luxury to give me and you and Bears fans all across the state of Illinois a competitive football team.
Okay, this is not...
Or a winning football team.
This was not the purpose of this show tonight. Okay, the purpose of this show tonight was to wrap up and specifically talk about what went wrong with the Chicago Bears. We're not going down that rabbit hole.
Did you find the post-game show? Were you able to find the post-game Bears show?
I was going to try to lead into that, but
go right ahead. I just gave you the perfect segue.
We've been trying to find the post-game show, and I didn't know if it was on the Marquee Network or the Chicago Network, but we cannot find it. Why we cannot find it, I don't know. I know your conspiracy theory is George McCaskey's running the show and telling people telling the network of whoever not to have it. I don't know about that. Maybe they're going to show
when the post-game show was Olin Kreutz, it was Brown, it was Lance Briggs,
yep,
and it was David Kaplan.
Yes.
David Kaplan, who is a writer that you and I respect, a man that we have met multiple times,
okay,
and a man who also does not hold punches in his opinions. And you have multiple players who played for you on excellent teams. And they don't hold punches, and you disband that. You do everything in your power to throw that post-game show away.
But our wrap-up show is about. It should be the wrap-up of the game. We're not going down. Okay, we're going to discuss. I don't want the wrap-up show that
this needs to be said, though.
I don't want this wrap-up show to be.
This needs to be referenced, though.
Then we reference it. Now we move on.
Okay.
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 Okay. Okay. Because if I hear one more thing about George McCaskey and Arlington Heights, I'm walking off.
Wow, okay.
That ends the show.
Wow.
Okay. We can have an entire show on that later.
Okay.
This is supposed to be the post-game show. Okay? All right? Now, those that watched it, you can agree or disagree how well Caleb Williams played. Okay? You're
not going to win when your quarterback's running for his life.
Correct.
You're not going to win when your starting running back cannot accumulate more than 3.1 yards. You're not going to win games when your primary wide receiver is put in as a halfback. You're not going to win when you do that.
Correct.
You're not going to win games when you fool around with these half-baked motions and running, in running plays or pass plays, and you have all your running backs and tight ends in motion to the point that you get a false start, and then you get a penalty on you.
Correct.
And that happened multiple times here.
We made reference to that. 8 pre-snap penalties.
Okay, in your opinion, as a man...
That's coaching.
Okay, because well, let me ask you this. You coach sports. You coach multiple sports at a very relatively high level. In your professional opinion, granted, you're not an NFL coach, but what would you do to fix this?
Well, the obvious thing is you find out who is making the blunders, and if they don't change next time, then you pull them out. But if you pull them out, you're going to be in the same predicament and the same criticism that you had last year. That now they have absolutely, because let's put this in perspective. They literally have 6 linemen. That's it. If any of those guys, 5 linemen from tackle to tackle go down, you got to put in somebody that is inferior to what you have. So now you sit there and go, all right, Caleb Williams only got sacked twice today, and he did run a lot. Now you ask yourself the question, can you live with that? Or can you live with somebody giving 3 and being responsible for 3 pre-snap penalties? You got to make a decision.
And the other sad realization, and this is the other thing, with all the coaches and with all the smart, supposedly, highly intelligent people in the NFL who coach, and not even that, just any level of the game, there's offensive play styles with short precision passing. Get the ball, throw it immediately. Slant routes, out routes, curls.
And the other thing, you're right. You're absolutely right. But I saw nothing tonight that is convincing me that Ben Johnson is bringing the entire playbook from Detroit because Caleb Williams dropped back and threw the ball. I got it here. He had 35 pass attempts, but nothing in there was highly sophisticated. It wasn't anything that resembled the Detroit Lions offense.
Can we get a Wildcat play? Can we get a flea flicker play?
Okay. Well,
I'd be open to that.
okay, but once again, all right, and this is to your point, and now to a point, I'll let you chime in on here. The guys that run those things in Detroit can run them, and I don't think Ben Johnson believes the guys in Chicago can run them. Now you're going to sit there, go get them. Well, they went out and got what they thought is it, but then after training camps and pre-training camps, Ben Johnson is, maybe the light bulb was hitting and sitting there going, you know what, I really have to water down the playbook because we don't have that.
And I know it's only one game, and I know it's a brand new coaching staff. I understand that. I get that. And in reality, it's also a new offensive line as well, because this was not this exact same offensive line from the past year and previous years before. This is it's a new team. Sure, there's still some veteran people here previous years, but it's a hodgepodge. It's a grilled cheese sandwich coming together. That's what it is. I understand. But yet, and I'm gonna make references here. Brian Urlacher was put on offense for certain plays. William Perry was put on offenses for certain plays. Bulldog Turner, back in the day, was put on offense for certain plays here and there. That's simple. You get a big, strong guy in there that no one can stop.
Okay, but then Eberflus did that last year with the linebacker or whatever, and he fumbled on that play in the goal line, and it was like
because he had injury problems and everyone knew of it. That's why he got critiqued.
There's a reason linebackers are linebackers, and they're not fullbacks.
Well, the 49ers got Kyle Juszczyk, did they not?
Okay, and I know you're not a big Lou Holtz fan, but Lou Holtz said, if people got to come out with gimmick plays against us, they can't beat us.
Well, that's funny because Lou Holtz, everywhere he went and everywhere he left, that program got hit with sanctions. Okay. Lou Holtz, bailed on the Jets on the last game of the year.
All right. But getting back to the reality with the Bears now, for those people out there who had the Bears 10 and 11 wins, this hurts. Okay.
This hurts big time.
And people said, well, you're going to go 4-2 in the conference.
You might.
Okay. You still could.
You might.
Okay. But now you got to play this same team 6 or 7 or 8 weeks down the road in Minnesota.
Yep. And we've now seen a front row seat. And I've even said people, I'm more concerned of what Minnesota can do, because last year they were the island of misfit toys. McCarthy went down because of the injury. They bring in Sam Darnold, a guy that a lot of people did not really respect or take seriously. He had an amazing season. The Vikings had an amazing season last year. And looks like they may go and run the tables again. I'm more concerned what the Vikings can do in that division than anybody else.
And what about those other teams that the Bears are going to play that have defenses that are slightly better than what Minnesota had? If Caleb Williams is running for his life tonight, and he did, and if anybody's going to say that the offensive line is head and shoulders considerably better than what they had last year, I don't know what the hell you were watching.
Absolutely not. And again, I understand. It's only one game. However, this offensive line has shown they're nowhere near anywhere improvement or better than what they were the previous year. They ran the stat. Caleb Williams got sacked, what was it, 68?
68 times last year.
That's third all-time in the 106 years of the NFL.
Okay.
Third all-time.
So he got dumped. Okay, he got dumped today twice.
Yep.
So if you go 2 times 17, gives you 34. Okay, but tonight he should have been dumped maybe 2 more times.
I would argue maybe.
I'm going lowballing it.
Okay.
I'm lowballing it.
I would raise you higher than that.
So that means 17 times 4 gets you what? What does that say?
That reads
What does that number say?
Did that read 66?
68.
I'm sorry, your handwriting
Okay.
was not the best.
But 68. How many times did Caleb Williams get dumped last year?
68.
68.
Exactly. At 68.
Okay. And he could have been dumped 2 more times tonight.
Yep.
And he would be on pace to match what they had last year.
And there was yep.
And allegedly, we're led to believe huge strides and money was socked in to these 3 guys.
Do we know what DJ Moore contract is? What DJ Moore's contract is?
What the dollar amount is?
No, I mean like
The length?
Yes.
I think he has this year and next year.
Okay. Does he have an opt-out of any sort?
Well, I think they all have opt-outs to a point.
Okay.
I can't say that.
Okay, because I'm not an agent. I don't know the details to it. But if you're DJ Moore and you're thinking to yourself, okay, why am I here?
Well, I can't confirm. I don't know, but I heard something, and I don't want to speak out of turn,
Okay.
and people can fact check me here, but I thought I heard somebody say Keenan Allen had 7 catches for San Diego. He went back to San Diego, and it caught 7 passes
Just recently?
the other night against Kansas City.
Because no one could see the game because it was on YouTube.
Hey, right. So I don't know. Okay. And the last couple times, and I made an error of the guy who got carted off the field. So I said I thought it was Simone Biles' husband, but I checked during the game and I was corrected, and that I was I misspoke. So, for the viewers out there,
And let me go.
made a mistake.
And while we're here, okay, and I'm gonna say it. And they ran the stat when they were talking about Ben Johnson. When he was in Detroit, they averaged 29 points per game.
Something like that.
Okay.
29 or low 30s
Okay, and they put up like 24
today.
Yeah.
24. That's 27, 24.
Okay, as you claim, numbers and statistics are for losers.
Because he had a pick 6 in there.
You did. You had a couple field goals in there.
He had 3.
And you had really just 2 touchdowns.
You had a rushing touchdown from
your quarterback,
Caleb Williams, who scrambled,
Yep.
and a 1-yard TD pass, which was the last.
He saw
series.
and you know what? He saw the field great, which is something that was a massive criticism that the previous guy before him struggled with.
But there were times that he made some passes that he wasn't even remotely close.
Yeah, and they need to work on that. They need to go back to the drawing board and fix that.
So now,
Because
was it the overrated line, or was it these weapons ran the wrong routes, or did Caleb Williams just miss them?
Or I'll even go to a callback to what you said at a few episodes previously. Was it Ben Johnson is more steak than sizzle? Or he's more sizzle than
He's
steak?
more sizzle than steak.
And can you elaborate on what that is to our viewers?
I think, he goes out there giving you the idea that he's the genius and whatever. There were 2 times when he called the timeout, when it was a 3rd and 3. He called the timeout and brought Caleb in. So obviously, when he's calling a timeout on 3rd and 3, he's going through the Waffle House playbook. And when they go back out there, that's the play he called.
And you know what?
And it sucked and it didn't work. And he did that on 2 occasions. Okay? They had one at the end of the quarter. So they had the entire TV timeout and even more time to come up with the play, and it didn't work.
So
that was at least 2 times, maybe 3 times that happened. That's the sizzling steak. Come over, Caleb. We're going to go through the entire Waffle House playbook with all the color-coordinated things. Go out and run it, and you know what? It was a disaster.
I'm going to say 2 things here. I'll even further elaborate on what you just referenced there. And I understand all the coaches in the NFL, they all got, as you referred to, as, the Waffle House menu, because they have so many
So many plays and you never use them.
Right. It's like, buttons on a calculator that you never hit. However, when you have a guy such as that who prides himself on being the smart guy, the highly intelligent guy, and he's got he has this big giant play sheet that covers his face, and you don't know what it's like. It's like he's playing peekaboo with a child, the newborn baby. And they go and they lay they lay a goose egg, and the way that they did, it's not a good look. It makes you look incompetent. You're the kid who you tried so hard to study, or that's what you claim you did, and then you failed the test.
Now, here's the other goofy thing is, the Bears have an offensive coordinator.
Yep.
They made no reference to the offensive coordinator. Who, if you're a viewer out there, tell me who the hell the offensive coordinator is called.
And this has been not just the offensive coordinator, but it was also the pass coordinator as well. Because, they love to create certain things.
So they got a guy who's running around the sidelines on game day.
Yeah.
What is his purpose?
We don't know. And that has been the primary complaint of the last two major coaching regimes.
But Eberflus did not call the plays.
Supposedly.
Okay. Eberflus was a defensive guy. So,
and if he calls that timeout, he's still here. If the Cody Parkey field goal goes in, Matthew Nagy would still be here.
Yeah.
Ryan Pace would still be here if that happened.
And again, I don't want to start the personnel thing, but Ben Johnson was brought in to make Caleb Williams and the offense much better than what it was with Eberflus. And after game one,
it's already panic mode, is it not?
I believe the Bears won their opener last year.
Yeah, they did. It was an ugly win, but they still won the game.
So now, if you look at their schedule, for those of you who are out there going, the Bears, 10 wins or 11 wins. Now, who do you got to beat to make up for the... Actually, you got to beat two teams to make up for this loss.
Uh-huh.
Because in order to make the playoffs, you got to probably be 1 or 2 in your division. You're not taking 3 teams from the division.
And here's the other thing of it is Green Bay won. Minnesota won today. So Detroit lost, the Bears lost, and the Bears...
And the Bears play Detroit next week.
Yes. So the Bears, Bears being the Bears, congratulations. They shot themselves in the foot.
If the Bears...
They're back in the 4th place spot yet again.
Because if the Bears lose...
Yet again.
If the Bears lose to Detroit, they're 0-2. Now, just off the top of my head, they got to play Philly.
Oh, that's a loss.
Baltimore.
That's a loss.
Green Bay twice. Okay. I'm just going with the obvious.
Green Bay games always scare you as a Bears fan.
Let's just say, for the sake of argument, they're 1-1. Okay. Washington.
I don't know if they could beat... After seeing this, I don't know if they could beat the Giants.
Okay. So right there, based on that, that's 4 more losses. So we know right off the bat they're going to end up with 6 for sure losses. Okay. So that means they got to run the table against everybody, which includes Pittsburgh, Cincinnati,
the Browns,
the Cleveland.
Baltimore's in that division.
I got Baltimore as one of the losses.
Okay.
Okay.
The New York Giants.
Then you got the Giants.
The San Francisco 49ers.
The Niners.
The Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas. The Saints, they're going to beat. They better beat the Saints. So somewhere along the line, they got to run a table. If they were to lose, once again, if they're going to lose, let's say they lose to Cincinnati and they lose to the Giants, now you're sitting with 8 losses. So the best you can be is 9-8. When I said the Bears yesterday, when I said top end, the Bears are going to win 7 games, I'm sure people who listened to me cringed and said, it's not. Now, if the Bears would have won today, I would have looked foolish and maybe said, yeah, maybe they might. Maybe they could sneak. No.
I looked foolish. Because You are the one that, and I watched Bears games with you basically all my entire life. And in the last 15, actually, I wouldn't go that far, but in the last 12, 10 years, it's been a losing culture. It's been a losing culture.
And, I'm just looking here down real quick. Dennis Allen played, he had a great scheme, but what the hell happened in the fourth quarter? They gave up 21 points. They gave up 21 points, and if you watch that game, they were being gashed on the ground.
In the fourth quarter, they had -1 yards for their offense.
The Bears.
-1 yard for the Bears.
Okay.
Vikings had over 100.
You sit around and go, okay, and now there's, now the clamoring all week long about, fortunately, it's one less day of media nonsense because they played on Monday and the media stops on Friday. So, you're going to hear Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's going to be the short week. They got to go to Detroit. Mm-hmm. Detroit coming off, the loss to Green Bay.
And if you're Ben Johnson, that's a game that you really want to win.
Okay. Now the question is, how important was Ben Johnson up in Detroit?
Once again, as we said on a previous episode.
Or is Campbell, who ran the show and said, hey, listen.
Jared Goff is still there. David Montgomery's still there. Okay. Those defensive players are still there. Who's that the real big offensive lineman that they got up in Detroit?
It's Penei Sewell, I believe.
Okay. And they got Amon-Ra is still up there in Detroit.
Okay. Now, if one can compare and say J.J. McCarthy, his game one, and they scored 27 points against the, what is a quality, proven quarterback going to do to the Chicago Bears defense? I don't know.
A lot of questions of that defense.
There's a lot of questions in the whole team.
Yep.
And I wish I could be hearing some post-game stuff, but somewhere along the line, it's not there.
No, it isn't.
And maybe some people, have gone to sleep already and didn't watch the whole game. But, yeah, it was there. I mean, in the first half, people were opening champagne bottles and saying this is all well and good.
Yep.
And,
the crowd was going crazy.
The crowd was
totally in the game.
And then all of a sudden, Caleb Williams early on made a cut. I mean, the one play where he rolled out right and he was running for his life and he threw the dart to Roma Duzé and he had his feet in bounds and everybody was going, this is going to be the future.
Once again, Bears, and it's been a problem the last 10, 12 years, they can't close out games. It's been a systemic problem.
I wonder.
Close out games.
I wonder. Okay, and again, this is going to sound like a negative Caleb Williams bash, but again, a similarity. Justin Fields was criticized for not being able to come and have comeback victories in fourth quarters. I wonder what Caleb Williams' record is with that.
I wonder the exact same thing with you.
Because,
I'm right there with you, to be honest.
I don't remember a whole. I think the one game in Detroit last year, when it was at Detroit and they came back, and he threw a couple touchdown passes and they beat Detroit at Detroit, and everybody says, yeah, this was, Do
you think the Bears can beat? Better yet, do you think after this, because the Cincinnati Bengals did not look too great, the Cleveland Browns and the Bengals, it was a battle of Ohio. It was the two Paul Brown football teams going at it. We watched that game. And after seeing this, because Cleveland's got five different quarterbacks that they can play. One of them is Joe Flacco.
And then the laughable thing is, and the criticism towards me was, and I'm not saying I'm a genius or nothing, but they go to Detroit.
Yep.
And then they play Dallas.
Yep.
it's not out of the reality that the Bears are going 0-3.
They play Dallas in Soldier Field.
And who's their fourth game?
I don't know.
Is that one of the weak sisters? I don't know.
Because this is my argument. Okay, if the joke is, and to be honest, it's true. The Bears for quite some time have been a last place team. Last place team. And then when you are in the NFL, when you are a last place team, you get a last place schedule. But yet when people, Bears fans, you and I included, look at the schedule, we kind of just stop and look at it and like, oh, wow, who can they actually beat here?
Well, I think it's based on the I think the last place schedule is that you play people who finished outside of the conferences that you got to play. You got to play your division, then you play two other conferences. Like they're playing the NFC East and they're playing the AFC Central.
AFC Central.
And then their conference and the remainder of the games is they're playing last place teams.
Yep.
So this year they're playing the Saints, they're playing the 49ers, and they're playing the Giants who finished, but that's the conference game. And I think they got to play somebody else that finished then last. That's where they mean by that last place team.
Tyreek Stevenson played horribly in this game.
Right. But are the 49ers that much worse than the Chicago Bears?
I honestly can't tell you. And the 49ers, they won the conference a few years ago.
The Saints from the last place schedule looked like a last place team.
And their defensive coordinator for the Chicago Bears came from the New Orleans Saints. That's a red flag.
So the reality once again is, I think after today, people are trying to put the cork back in the champagne bottle, and I have a reality of saying, let's temper.
Who was the defensive back? He didn't play. I don't think he played because he was questionable, and ESPN showed him entering Soldier Field, and he was in some ridiculous outfit.
That was Jalen Johnson.
And did he play in this game?
No. What? I didn't even see him like being panned on the sidelines.
Okay, see, here's the other thing, and this is the Chicago Bears. You go out and you get Ben Johnson because he's a stern disciplinarian, supposedly. You went out and you got Matt Eberflus because he's this great, defensive coordinator and he runs a tight ship, supposedly. You went out and you got Matt Nagy because, he's this great offensive mind from the Andy Reid coaching tree, and the Andy Reid people don't take no nonsense. And you went out and you got Mark Trestman because he went out and he won all these Grey Cups and he won in the NFL. He won to see Canada, United States of America, everywhere he was a great football guy. But ever since Lovie Smith and Jerry Angelo, they have never had a grown-up in the room. You are questionable. You want to be one of the highest paid defensive backs, and you're walking into a game where you're not going to be playing, where it's the home opener, it's the season opener on the 40th anniversary of the Super Bowl 20 team, and we kind of need you, and we've heard nothing of you in training camp, heard nothing of you in preseason exhibition play, games, and you're coming in this ridiculous outfit, drawing attention to yourself when you're not there for your teammates. I would cut you completely. I would cut you alone for that alone.
Okay. Well,
I understand people don't like in the NFL primarily, people disagree with the suit and tie concept of thought, but you know what? Some programs need it. When you're a quality team, when you're the Raiders with John Madden, you had the highest winning percentage of any NFL team for like a decade and a half or whatever it was. Yeah, you could do whatever it is you want. When you're the 1970s Pittsburgh Steelers, yeah, you could do whatever it is you want. When you're the 1985 Bears, you could do whatever it is you want. When you're the 2001, 2002 Baltimore Ravens that won the Super Bowl?
Either one, I don't remember.
Okay, well, if you're the Ravens team, you could do whatever it is you want. When you're the Miami Dolphins and you went undefeated in 1972, and you got the great Don Shula teams, you're a quality team. You could do whatever it is you want.
But those teams,
Bears are not quality teams.
But those teams you're referencing were, 20, 30, 40 years ago. The things now.
Bill Belichick.
Okay.
People are clowning on him.
Okay.
But yet, what's his entire gimmick? Do your job. My football coach in high school told me that exact same thing.
Okay. Yeah. But the Jalen Johnson, again, I said we didn't want to go personnel. The Jalen Johnson thing has been a problem since volunteered OTAs that took place in April and May. He hasn't done anything. And as you said yesterday, he may not play the whole year.
No, he may not.
Now, winning takes care of a lot of problems. If the Bears would have won, and I said this during the game, if the substitutes found a way to win, that opens up eyes and says the guys that weren't there, well, maybe we don't need you.
Yeah.
Okay? But since they lost, okay, I could see the guys that didn't play this week will sit back and go, I don't want to go through that hell this week. Now, granted, they're taking a back seat. They're not being a team player. But I could see them saying, we got to play to the Lions. Okay, I still might have this tweak. I might look stupid. I'm not going to be able to guard. I'm on St. Brown and whomever else. And I'm going to find a way to take another day off. I don't want to really travel. I'll wait until Dallas, who is another comedy scene.
Yeah, but they still got good people. I know Skip Bayless is going berserk right now because CeeDee Lamb dropped the 4 passes in that game, and there was the entire Dak Prescott versus Jalen Carter, drama, but they're still a good team.
CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens is better than anybody Minnesota had tonight.
Yes. Undoubtedly.
So, and Dak Prescott, like him or not, is a better, respectable or quality NFL quarterback than J.J. McCarthy.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, they don't have Micah Parsons. Okay. But could they outscore the Bears? Now you're sitting there going, now you're sitting at 0-3, and you may go 0-4 going into the bye week.
Micah Parsons went to Green Bay. Didn't come here.
But the reality of the whole thing is, I think we kind of covered, the 2 plays in the timeouts. We compared, the running stats. Total 318 to 254 yards. You got 318 total yards. You should probably win a game at home.
Didn't do it. Didn't do it. Very similar to a Thursday night football game in 2022, October 13th, versus the Washington Commanders. We were there. Where the Chicago Bears had over 300 yards of total offense, and they lost the game 12-7. When you march down the field and you have over 300 yards of offense, over 200 plus yards of total offense, and you are destroying your opposition in the sabermetric columns, you have to score. You have no excuse not to.
They found out tonight that touchdown, and everybody knew this, touchdowns are more important than field goals.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, you had a defensive pick 6 and 3 field goals. 16 of your 24 points. No, 9 and 7, 16. Yeah.
This is just, it's a simple game. And I'm tired of people thinking that it isn't. Defense. And I'm going to say it, I know football people don't want to hear this, but, defense. What's the concept? You stop the man with the ball. I'm not saying that they're not that they're not, athletic, that they're not, prepared, that they're not, intuitive. I'm not saying that. However, the primary function, your big guys up front, you stop the man with the ball. Your secondary, your defensive backs, you guard the wide receivers. You make sure they don't catch the ball, or if they do, you stop them before they advance.
Nobody gets behind you.
Yes.
Safeties, coaching safeties. Just don't let anybody behind you.
Running, yeah.
And come up for run support once they hand the ball off.
The linebacker, all three of the linebackers, they're all going to be gunning for the running back. Wherever the running back goes, the linebacker will be there. That's why Walter Payton did not score in the touchdown in the Super Bowl.
And I coached high school football, and and high school football coaches believe, whoever's watching this in your high school, you believe you're the smartest person in the room. But for those that don't really, there's a reason there's 9 and 10 assistant coaches, because they only handle a handful of players.
Yes, the wide receivers coach handles the receivers.
And there might be 6.
The running back coach handles the running backs.
And there might be 4.
The quarterbacks coach handles the quarterback.
And there might be 3.
The defensive backs coach handles the defensive
And you
backs.
might have 7.
The offensive line coach handles the offensive line.
That's
the
it.
Strength and conditioning coach handles the weight room guys. And I guarantee you, they're just goofing off in there.
And the head guy comes in and says, all right, who had a good week of practice? Again, we're talking about the 4 tackles that they have. I am convinced that Ben Johnson didn't make that decision on his own. He talked to the offensive line coach and said, who do you believe gives us the best chance? And they were behind closed doors. They might have had a little bit of a discussion, but somewhere along the line, that offensive line coach said this, and then Ben Johnson goes behind the podium and says, we are selecting, and in this case, it was Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright were our 2 tackles.
And here's the other thing. When you are in a rut such as this, when you are in a predicament such as this, because it's what is insanity? What's the famous quote?
Repeating the same thing over and over and expecting a different
And that's what
result.
they've been doing. Okay, you bring in Mark Trestman because he's a great offensive guru, and it didn't work. You bring in John Fox because he was this old school kind of a football guy, and it didn't work. And then you bring in Matthew Nagy because he's this great offensive guru of a guy, and it didn't work. You bring in Matt Eberflus because he's this just milquetoast defensive coordinator that we kind of like but not really. It didn't work. Then you bring in, and now we have Ben Johnson, who is just another version of Josh McDaniels or Matt Nagy or something to that manner, and that's all well and good. But at this point, if you're doing the same thing, it ain't working. If you want to utilize certain personnel or whatever for certain playbooks and whatever, and it's not working, if you are giving if quarterbacks have the capability to audible the line of scrimmage and change a play here and there, let them call their own plays, please. They did that in the past. They did that for decades. Bring that back.
The kick in the ass would be the agency is open.
Yes, at this point,
and
yes.
Just see what happens.
You know what? Because to be honest with you, if you are, because you, what's your ceiling now? Because we just ran through the schedule. You think?
I still say no more than 7. And I'm going to say because they may steal a game out of there because this was a game they could have won.
Because here's the other thing, and people don't want to say this. This should pop in my head. The Bears had the number 1 overall pick 2 times in a row, and we can go in Fox News propaganda, CNN propaganda, and mode, and however you see fit, and spin that however you see fit because the DJ Moore trade, everything that went down with the Panthers, the Carolina Panthers, and whatever X, Y, and Z. Well, no. The first year you got it because you were outright the worst team. Sure, yeah, I understand the Texans won the last game of the year. Still, doesn't matter. You were, without any shred of a doubt, the worst team in the NFL. You get the number 1 pick. Bears fans are celebrating. That is insulting. Okay, and then the next year, you get the number 1 pick again. You are now in danger. The way how I'm kind of looking at this now, you are now in danger of having the number 1 overall pick for 3 years in a row. Everything, and I hate to say it because it's a Matt Nagy quote, but everything is on the table now.
But they're not going to be the worst team in the NFL.
Doesn't matter now.
I was going to say they're not going to have the first overall pick. Is what I was going to say.
The fear's still there. That window of time is still open for them to get it.
Yep. And and I wish I could hear, and I'm going to try to find, it's got to come somewhere, the Ben Johnson, interview after the game, because I'm sure it'll be the same, coach speak kind of deal, the company line stuff, it'll be, this is a new system, and it's going to take time. And
we've heard this for like the last 10 years now.
And
from multiple different regimes, and it hasn't worked.
The bottom line was the Bears lost and they're 0-1.
Yeah.
And then they go into Detroit next week, okay?
In the Thunderdome.
And, I'm not convinced that the Bears are going to win that game. I have and I know I'm Mr. Negative with the Bears. I could see them, I don't know who game 4 is, but I could see them going 0-3 and things spiraling downhill, and, then DJ Moore saying, I'm disgruntled. I mean, there's a reason Keenan Allen got the hell out of town. He was disgruntled.
And you called in a 670 the score when they first got him, and you said, hey, yay, we have Keenan Allen. However,
1 year.
He's only here for 1 year. He was a rental player, and no one wanted to listen to you. And you were right.
Okay. And I'm sure Luther Burden, the malcontent, is in that locker room stirring up the chum saying, I could have been open more. Get me the ball. Okay?
Keyshawn Johnson, throw me the damn ball.
All right. And, it was they're going to say, well, you lost to Minnesota. It was a bad loss.
It was a loss that they gave the game away. They gave the game away.
And you give up 21 points in the fourth. Well, if you give 21 points in the fourth quarter at home, you deserve the win.
If you have 12 penalties in the game, you deserve.
And 12, yeah. Yeah.
And most of them were what? Pre-snap penalties?
8 of them were pre-snap. And I can already hear it. And we're going to clean it up this week. That's going to be a line. We're going to clean it up this week.
No. You're at a point now where you really have to just put up or shut up. You're at a point now where it's you cannot allow these things to happen.
No. Yeah. That's where, and they say, well, the Bears played in preseason. You only got 3 games. You play these people, okay? First of all, they're getting a paycheck. You risk them getting hurt. If they get hurt in preseason, they get hurt. Who was it? The Rex Grossman, the first snap he played in the preseason game?
You had him in fantasy football that year.
Not me, it was somebody else. I was in that league, and we were drafting.
I'm sorry.
It wasn't me. It was somebody else, but he made the pick, and then 5 minutes later, it was like he broke his leg, and that was the end of Rex Grossman. But you know what? That shit happens. Okay. But by getting 3 snaps a game in the summer, we're ready. No. And we spent almost an hour on this. This is our longest show.
Well, it's going to be like this.
Okay.
for the next 16.
And I hope people can listen to us for an hour, but it's almost a strike of midnight.
Thank you for everyone who stayed up to watch this, or who will watch this eventually.
Okay. During the week, right before the Bear game, we will put a preview of what's going on with the Bears, and hopefully no bad news. We're going to have to check to see what the Padres did tonight, because when we shut this off and go to sleep, it's conceivable that the Cubs have a one-game lead.
There's also preseason hockey, if anyone who is interested, for the NHL.
So, again, we are Hey Hey Sports. Those people out there watching us and listening, Hey Hey Sports. I think we're episode 11 or 12.
When will you like to do the, do you have any rough draft plan of what you would want, what day, what schedule, time frame you'd like to have the preview show?
Our next show I'd like to air probably Thursday night,
okay,
maybe, because then, I don't like to. I watch a lot of college basketball, or Friday afternoon maybe, because usually Friday night like to go watch a high school game somewhere along the line. I haven't checked to see what's going on with that schedule, but keep tuning in. The people, we got a lot of high traffic today. Appreciate that. Hopefully you're a subscriber. Now that you know you're out there, take a peek at us. It is Hey Hey Sports, and we'll see you down the line. Support your teams.
Thank you, and good night.